Good morning. How do you track your business expenses throughout the year? Well, depending on the business tax return that you will file, it is a good idea at the beginning of the year you set up your spreadsheet. Unless you have a software to record your expenses, that's fine. But if you don't have any software and you are trying to keep track of your expenses, which is a good idea, it's very good you track all your business expenses as you purchase items, so that it is easier at the end of the year to be able to file your business tax return. Whether you are filing it yourself or you are hiring a professional to do it for you, it is important you track your expenses very well. So at the beginning of the year is very good, if you don't have a software to do it for you, to use a spreadsheet and record your expenses. So I like to what I would suggest is you pull the tax return you will file for your business to see how the type of expenses that are on the business tax return, and use the same terminology for each column for the expenses. And every time you have an expense, you record the amount under that expense category on each row. So it's going to be a daily, you are going to record them daily, and at the end, by throwing each column, you know what the total is for that type of expense that will go on a specific line on your business tax return. So I'm working on a spreadsheet, and I can just talk with you while I'm working on it. And I will say that I should have done it for a while now. I just wanted to change a little bit. There is a form that I use, a spreadsheet design that I have used for some years, and I like it, and I just want to change a little bit this year. And receipt, as I'm having some expenses, I like to stay on top of that. And it is a good idea to pull a business tax return to see the expenses. If you are an L.L.C, an S-corp, or a sole proprietor, the expenses tab will be a little bit different. So you can make your spreadsheet very simple, but there is few things you just need to keep in mind. And depending on how knowledgeable you are with Excel spreadsheet, or if you are using Google Sheets, you can make it very simple. And what will be important to have is a description of the expense. You can have, it depends on what you are trying to achieve as well. But this is, I like to set up, to design my spreadsheet with tax return in mind versus accounting purposes in mind, at least at the moment. So it's good to have a column for total, probably, if you want, but then the expenses, you can, to make it very simple, you can just jump to the expenses category. And I like to have mine pretty much have a little bit more detail, but you want to make sure the total section if you go this route to have different column for subsection under an expense category, you want to make sure the total column really match a business, a tax return type of expense. So let's see if we can pull a business tax return. In fact, for instance, so the things with supplies is their inventory. When you purchase supplies, their inventory, you just don't deduct the whole amount. Is what you use that you deduct. So that's why I try to have a section for, in fact, total supply, total office supplies used, and that include mail, office supply use. But then I try to track expenses of what I'm purchasing. You don't have to make yours complicated, but I have some end goal in mind, what I can pull out of this sheet to track some other type of expenses. So, but when you purchase supplies, you don't deduct them right away as a business expense. They are inventory. You deduct the cost of the one you use. Then you can have ads. I'm sure on many business tax return you'll see advertisement. So you can have advertisement if that's what your business tax return said. And you know that if you want to have everything under that, anything ready to add, you just put it. But I'm trying to be more specific about the type of ad in case I have any. And having the total could really be in a word advertisement, if I can write it correctly. But you can have it in a terminology that will match the role that you'll go on your business tax return. And usually you won't have a line on the business tax return that will say website fee or anything like that. So a lot of time it will go under office supplies, office expenses, or it will be other deductions. So if you know these total things about website will go under other deduction, then you could put other deduction depending on what business things. But the thing is, anything you put under other deduction, you have to have an attachment to describe what it is. So that's why I know that's other deduction, but I put total website fee. That way when I'm putting it under other deduction and I'm attaching a statement, I can just come and find the total for everything that are included there. So total tax and licenses. Tax and licenses is something, a type of deduction you will find on your business tax return. So you can have one column for it and just list it, as it does not ask you to describe what went on that line and not at all. But I like to have it a little bit more described. So I have subsection of those. Legal and professional fee, depend on the business tax return, you might find it. I believe you might even find it on Schedule C. But on a form like S Corp, Form 1120S, there is not a line for legal professional fees. It will go under other deduction line 19, I believe. Therefore, I like to have a separate, and I know it will go under line 19, other deduction, and I'll have an attachment. So I wanted to know the total that went in that session. And let's see, critical interest. There is a section for interest. So critical interest will easily go there unless you start your inventory and you wanted to add it as other costs under cost of goods sold. So it's good to lay out your spreadsheet having the typical expenses as column and have your entries goes just record all the expenses under each one. That way at the end of the year you know what total you have for every single line of your tax return already set up. So shipping orders to clients, okay? So storage, container depreciable, okay? You can make your entry, your description, your expense, your expense name descriptive as much as you want, if that's helpful to help you know how you treat that type of expense. Packaging supply use, okay? So that means I should have a line that will say packaging supplies, and that will be under inventory. Supply inventory, okay, I have it there. And using a table can make make it easy to total your expenses, but you don't have to. You can total them yourself as well. But it's very important when you purchase an item to make copy, when you have a business expense, to make copy of the receipt, staple it to it or scan it and then file it and record your expense right before you file the receipt. Private label products, okay. Finished product for resale, okay. Finished product, raw material, packaging supply use. Try to leave empty column. Platform listing fee, okay. So platform listing fee, and that's other, it will usually go under other deduction depending on the tax you are filing. No, it's not what I wanted to use, okay. Under data validation, I can add functions. Let's see, platforms. Yeah, I can use this. Let me move it out of the way if it's allowing me to do that. I don't think it's allowing me to do that, but I have a subsidiary. I can just add that. So pretty much what it's doing is platform fee, eBay, Etsy, and platform fee, and we'll add Google Store. And I try to have a little bit organized, but let me see if I can move them down. In fact, I can just filter. So by selecting everything, if I go on filter A to Z, it will filter for me. So we can go back, see if that affects my spreadsheet in any way. No. So platform fee will be recorded, and it will go under other deductions, and empty column. So employee reimbursement account, so this is going to be a total. And it can be the sum. If you are an L.L.C. and S corp, it's good to have employee reimbursed account, so that your home office deduction can go. You can pay yourself for using an office in your house for your business. You don't want to use employee, how is it called again? There is a type of employee expense that goes on a schedule. It used to go on schedule A. You don't want to use that option because it has to, you had your expenses in that category. It used to be 2%. It has to be about 2% of your AGI before you can really show up on your schedule A and show up on your 1040. But as an L.L.C. and S corp, it's just good to have a reimbursement account to pay yourself for using your house and using your car. But what I like to do is I like to use the standard mileage and the simplified method of business use of your house instead of using actual expenses. But either way, try to keep a record of any type of expense under employee reimbursement account. For schedule C, you have other other expense deduction. You have a mileage section on your schedule C that you'll be able to deduct your standard mileage. So depending on the tax return you are filing, how you deduct the expense is different. So keep that in mind. So now that, and this is just a function sheet, and I'm trying to pretty much it's more like a brainstorming sheet for me to incorporate few things on the spreadsheet. But I'm not seeing a business. The task category here is a little bit vague, and the expense type is a little bit too broad. The expense category is close to the expense deduction on the tax return, but I'm thinking about inserting, okay, just do it at the end. Okay, just call it probably expense deduction. I want to have tax in there. I can just say tax deduction. And let's see, don't know if so what I will have on this will go like this. So that's when it might be a good idea to pull form. See if we can pull a business tax return. Might make it a little bit easier. Let's put, oh no, not the instructions, the form itself. Form 1120S. Form 1065 is not bad. Let's find 1120S as well. So page 1. Okay, so we have compensation of officers. So we can include that. Usually it will be on, can just put compensation of officers. Believe the second one will be salary. Okay, just put employees, staff. And we go back, yeah, salary and wages, repair and maintenance. So repair and maintenance, let's include that. Repairs and maintenance. So if you don't know what kind of repair and maintenance you should include, it is good. Let's see if we can open the instructions. And it will be line 9. Yeah, we can just jump to and you pretty much read the repair and maintenance. So enter the cost of repair and maintenance not claimed elsewhere on return, such as labor and supply that don't add to the value of the property or appreciate. Let me see here. Appreciably prolong its life. So the corporation can deduct those repair only to the extent that it is related to a trade or a business. Okay, so so if we purchase a tool to fix an item, something business related, it is repair and maintenance. So let's see if I include anything in my business expense category here. I do not have repair and maintenance, and I can just add it at the bottom, like repair maintenance supplies. You can just put something that will remind me what will go on that row, and then I have a descriptive column here. If I need to adjust, I move things around, this has not been adjusted. So mileage, okay, you are supposed to go up, not go down. So mileage, you can try to describe the type of expenses you have, so that when you forget something, you can remember what you are trying to include under that category. So domain registration hosting fee should be under website fee, should be somewhere at the bottom. Website fee. So I'll adjust those. I have moved my expense categories to organize them, and those three columns are related, so adjusting one of them will mess up everything else. So biannual report is more taxes and licenses, so it should be in the T. Lawyers professional drill will be legal in the L, a little bit up. Fine, professional. Well, I think it's 2F, right? Does not look quite correct for me, but I'll leave it like that for now. Okay, so I was thinking about repair and maintenance or something. So it could be supplies purchase to fix a business, I don't know, a business machine or something like that. Let's just put it that way. So let's go back to our form. So that means we need to, on that spreadsheet, I need to include a colon for that line 9 and run on. And sometimes it's even good you have them organized. Like this one is not organized. Like line A was compensation, line 7, line 8 was salaries, line 9 was repair and maintenance. You can organize your expenses like that. Is not, I can use this column here that is empty as repair and maintenance. Repair maintenance. Okay. And okay, so I will leave it there. But if I purchase a supply to repair and I don't use it, I won't deduct the supply. It will go in inventory section. So that's something maintenance supplies inventory. And okay, right there. So we can go back to our things. Here we have rent. So if you are renting outside of your house, that will make sense to have a section for it. Bad debt, I'm not going to include that. Tax and licenses is there. Interest is there already. Depreciation not claim on Form 1125A or elsewhere. We do have depreciation has its own things, but I have depreciable things, depreciable item on the spreadsheet. Advertising is there already. Pension is now. Employee benefit program, if you have something like that. So just if you are not tracking it elsewhere, you might want to add it to your expense spreadsheet. Other deduction. So other deduction, I like to have that in my functions, and it will be the tax deductions that we need to add advertise, advertisement. advertisement. Okay, advertising, interest, tax and licenses, advertising, interest, tax and licenses, interest, tax and licenses, salary and wages, compensation of officers, we have those. Other deduction, other deductions, and depending on the task, depending on the task form you are using, your line will be different. Can put from 1120S page 1, line 7, line. Before I do that, I wanted to filter this, but I think I'll just leave it like that. So line 8, line 9, this interest is not at the right spot. Interest, advertising. So we have line 12, line 12, line 13, add line 16, and line 19. So line 16 can come down and we can take everything back up. So now having it here, we would like to have it, let's see here, tax deductions. And a good thing you can do is let's see here, tax category, we can add a row, a column, we can add a second one, and this will be tax deduction, and this will be form 1120S. So what is helpful doing that is when you have an expense, you write it down and you write the amount, and as you are scrolling, you are going toward where you should put the amount. If you know the type of expense it is, how you are going to deduct it on your business tax return, you can write the line you'll go on. If you have another sheet that you describe every single expense that goes on your tax return, the line that goes on, and the type of expenses that included. The first few times you might have to think a little bit. After that, you'll get used to it, and then you just write the type of expense and the categories that goes under, where you'll deduct it on your business tax return, and then you continue and you put the amount where it will go. By doing that, it's going to, at the end, you pretty much have your tax return file on your spreadsheet in some way. So, but the reason why I'm including those is more for me to is a trial. The one that I have used and I used last year, they didn't have all those features added to it. So I'm just trying to I like having all the expenses at the top, and I'm trying to see what I can do with that. So we add those two columns, and if we add the column, but I'm not sure I add the formula that will go there because I don't want to type them every single time. So I'm adding tax deduction. Why is doing okay? So I need to break this formula and reinsert it. It's not the data, and what that was again, tax deduction. Okay, so we can go find that tax deduction, and it should be this column here that I want, and I can just enter it there. And for when you are using table, sometimes it copies the formula you already have and just continue that. So you have to make sure your formula is working well for you. 1120S. So this is more the lines that I want here, the deduction lines on the form 1120S. So I prefer to insert the colon Q that has the lines, and I will enter. So instead of typing it each time, when I have an expense, it will go here. And I just have sometimes it's good you enter an expense so that you see if you have your things the way you want it. So let's have an expense here. We can just enter it. You see how it's working. So the month, why my month is blank? Okay, so the month is March. The business that will be, let's think it's two are going to use it. I think I'll just use the main business. And payment method, it is a credit card. The date 3/12/21. The vendor Walmart. The description is Scotch laminator machine. The expense amount, let's see here, is 38.49, and this column is more when credit card payments are made. So I don't want to have if on some accounting books you'll have double entry. So I'm trying to make this spreadsheet work a little bit like a double entry journal at the same time. So it's a trial. Have double entry spreadsheet, but I don't want to. I like to see if I can if I can have my expense detail spreadsheet work better for me. So Note is just about describe the expense if you want. So expense type. So let's see. Expense type, what do we have? It is a depreciable item. So depreciable item, and I don't think I have depreciation here. So okay, depreciation. So expense category, I'm not sure I have it here, but the expense category will be, I'll go back to my functions, and let's see, we do have depreciation on this form, line 14, depreciation. So, and that'll be line 14. Okay, I don't calculate my depreciation deduction on this spreadsheet. It does have its own spreadsheet. But let's see. Line 14. But more importantly, expense category, I don't have depreciation in it. So D. CD. I like to have a little bit organized, so that means every time I forget something and I need to add it, I'll either filter the colon, but if I have the colon linked to other columns, then I have to know what I'm doing. So we should have assets, maybe assets or depreciable assets. See if that will work. And this is depreciation. Okay, and we'll go back to our expense spreadsheet, and we know that that's a depreciable asset. Task category is a depreciation. Task deduction. Okay, task category. Let's see that task category here. Okay, it's pulling from the right. The arrows are matching. Okay, so what do we have here? Depreciation. Okay, but the thing is, because it's depreciable item and I'm not going to claim section 179 to expense it all, I'll be very careful what I'm checking. I'm going to leave it alone. And let's see if I have an asset section here. I didn't include asset section because I have a spreadsheet that will call assets. So we can add depreciable assets at the end. Kind of surprised I don't have. Okay, I do have one. I think that will work. I have storage container depreciable, just single line. I can add one. Now that I have two type, I can have a column for total depreciable asset. So that means I could have this column as total assets. Can just say place in service. Total asset placed in service. Hopefully I will understand that's depreciation. So that's pretty much how you customize your own spreadsheet to match your need. And as you have expenses, you'll see if you have you know what to include. By the time your business grow and you want to switch from a spreadsheet to a software, you know the type of software to purchase, because you will know the features that should be included in that software to meet your demand. You are not going to purchase a software being discouraged by another one because it is now meeting your need. So it is okay if you had to use a spreadsheet to start out. It just allows you to get to know your business in deeply, to know when to switch to a software and what you should switch to, because you know what to expect, what you want to use the software for, and what your expectations are. So I'm not sure I will make this spreadsheet for sale on liberdownload.com, where we sell digital download for businesses and finances, but you could design it yourself. It doesn't have to be complicated. You just need to know what is important. All the expenses on your business tax return that you are required to file, just use them as column, and on each row add your expense into your expenses. So that's 1065, and it seems to be a similar, but it does not have officers compensation section. And I don't know if I have a schedule C. Around form schedule C, if you are a sole proprietor, expenses, you have advertisement, you have car and truck expenses. So commissions and fees, contract labor, depreciation section 179, not included, employee benefits program. You know, you just list those expenses on your spreadsheet as, you know, or you can even put the line on top of the expenses as well. And every time you have an expense, you add the dates, you write what the expense is, and then you go look at the line and the name of the expense and just enter the dollar amount. By the end of the year, you pretty much have your expenses laid out to be put on your spreadsheet, minus few details. Like the depreciable one should go on a depreciation spreadsheet where you calculate the depreciation on them. But you pretty much have all your office expense for the year on your spreadsheet. You have repair and maintenance, supplies, taxes and licenses, travel, meals, wages, utilities, other expenses. You pretty much have everything on your spreadsheet. It might take a few more minutes each time you enter an expense, but you know that at the end of the year you are not going to have sleepless nights thinking about how you are going to pull a shoebox of receipts from below your bed to sort them out, because you already did the hard work throughout the year. So I just want to point it out how important it is for us to track our expenses as we purchase business items throughout the year to make our tax season less stressful as much as possible. Thank you so much for your time. I'm Afiavi-Odjounin, Liberman, creators of Liberman Consulting L.L.C YouTube channel, Liberman Consulting L.L.C podcast, and NinaSoap.com, our blog. We do have liberdownload.com where we sell our digital product that you might find helpful for your finances and your business. And we thank you so much for all your comments. Thank you so much, you all that subscribe to our channel.